Hello, and thank you for coming. This talk was supposed to be more hands-on, but I'm not so good at Gatsby yet. So this is me. I've done a few things in the past. I work for Microsoft. I basically manage the site of Playboy in Brazil. I use that to basically to show people, oh, I was cool before. And nowadays, I am the CTO of Fundatex. I'm maintaining Web Sauna. I'm still doing something for the Plone community. I'm happy to do that. And I write Python code once in a while. So Fundatex, it's basically a company providing a solution for you to fill your taxes in Germany, focusing on people. We have 10 different brands. We had more than 150,000 submissions, and we got back more than 100 million euros to our customers. That's a huge number. Some fun facts, there's someone that paid this year 35 bucks, put 15 minutes and got 20,000 euros back. So that's my poster child, even though I'm not allowed to say who it was. But this is the kind of stuff we deal on a daily basis, people filling their taxes with us and then getting money back. Content management at Wundertax, when I joined the company in the beginning of the year. We had a very complex setup, many different reasons, and lots of development resources. The focus on the company is basically doing the best possible text too. And we had developers debugging Contentful issues, even though it's not Contentful fault, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We have a setup with 10 different brands. We have brands on vertical markets like for soldiers in Germany, for expats, for teachers, for police officers, and so on. Each one of those has its own domain, its own front page, a landing page, some content, and some of them have also blogs. Right, and also we have wundertext.de. When I joined, the 10 brands, they were basically the same Rails app, getting content from Contentful. I talked about that, I believe, 1 or 2 years ago, when I said that people does not always use headless CMS with JavaScript. Some of them basically inject the data into their existing solution. So this monolithic Rails application would do everything since from handling your tax returns to calculating how much money you're going to get back, to talking to the finance authority, to doing the blog and handling comments. So imagine one part of the system fails, everything goes down. And it happened quite often in the beginning. Contentful was the headless CMS for blogs and most static content, but for the institutional site, let's use JQ and GitHub pages. It sounds perfect, except for the fact that, when HR wanted to put a new job post, they would stop someone from the development team to basically go there. And we do not push to production without a pull request. So 2 people required to basically put a PDF file online. In Contentful, first of all, I talked about Contentful first time in Boston, even though I was not there. It's a really, really good solution. They are one of the most successful startups in Berlin. They provide a headless CMS. Their infrastructure is insanely complex because they need to care about things that most of us never thought about, like, we need 3 different CDNs just to handling images on our solution because we have customers in Japan. And Cloudflare is not the best solution there. We need something with a lower latency and so on and so forth. They build everything over the concept of a space. For us, let's think about a Plone site, right? We have 10 brands inside the same space. And that was done in the past because actually the whole decision to move to Contentful was we had blogs in WordPress. Then the developer said, yeah, we don't do WordPress. We do Ruby on Rails. So let's write a new CMS. Oh, no, there's one. So let's write integration. But the whole point was it started with one brand. That was easy. And then another one. And then more content, and so on and so forth, to the point that we have 19 different content types there. And some of them are basically what we would think about tiles in a page. So we have a header section that's used in many different contents and they push. And we have 7,900 entries. Not all of those are real content. Some of them are like parts of content. We have 2 possible locales, English and German. English used only for one of the brands. And we have 1 editor. There's 1 person that goes there every day, writes a new blog, like sliced in 5 different parts, and press a button, and voila, we have a new article. We had a problem with reliability because Contentful is built basically on the premise, on the idea of you have 1 site, you have 1 space. And then you have the content types related to this. We have 10, and for everything we need to start doing a query saying, okay, in this specific field that we added to all content types, except 1 that has a different name because someone basically put an S where it shouldn't be. So every single query is basically, now get me only for this site. And it seems they do not have a proper index for that, meaning it's slow. To the point that getting the data for all the blog pages we have takes more than an hour with Gatsby. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So it's not perfect. It's failing us. And when we had the Rails application, basically what it will do is, oh, a new request. We had like 20 or 25 different routes. The last one is, if you did not find, try Contentful. So it will try to get the content from Contentful. It will do the connection. Sometimes it would fail. If it fails, timeout for all the way. If we have many failing requests, the whole application would go down. If it's there, we have the same application basically saving that on cache. First it was on the file system, now at least it's on Redis. And by the end, rendering the content. No client cache allowed because, oh, we have this top bar that could be, the user could be logged in. So everything goes there. And actually, every time we got a 404, it would create a problem for us. I had a vision when I joined the company, and these are personal opinions. They could be right or wrong, but they are my opinions. First thing, monolith, it's good for you to create the MVP. After a while, you see the problem because, oh, how many tests do I need to run every time I want to deploy something? Or parts of this application are never changing. Why the hell do I need to keep running the same tests all over and over again? And if something fails, everything fails. That was the issue we had. When I believe in April, we decided to move the first part of our system from the main application to a specific service. We basically save, on a weekend, we saved the company because the 3 days before we had a major disruption of services on the tax authority. So every time we tried to validate some information, it would go there, and would go there, and then another user would try the same thing too. On the 5th, everything was down. So it was basically taking the whole site down because of one failure outside. We moved, there was a second shortage, and we kind of survived way better. That is one point. Second point is web standards plus good content give you SEO. We have a team of full stack developers, and I honestly like the concept of full stack developers. And all of them, with no exception, they hate CSS, and they hate, actually not hate, they have no idea what's web standard. To the point that up to this day on our tool, we joke that we use 3 or 4 tags of HTML, like everything is a div, because, oh, I have a header, it's a div. And then the name of the class is header. I'm kind of, what if HTML had something for that, right? That would be awesome. And also, the concept of microformat schema.org was not there, right? At some point, we rewrote the whole integration with Contentful just to fix this. Access to content should be always really fast. I should not try to validate a bunch of things before giving you the content, especially if it's the front page of the site. Makes no sense to, on the front page, going and, try to see if the person is logged in on the same process and then change the bar and so on and so forth. There's some benefits of that, but the cost for it is way too high. And of course, content management should not be rocket science or based on pull requests. It's one thing when you have your company, everyone is a developer, and it's basically, okay, I'm putting another item on my blog. Good. But if the person taking care of content needs to learn about Markdown and needs to know about how to make a pull request on GitHub, you have a problem, right? So you need to give tools that make their lives easier. You need to tell them, okay, just log in here, especially always trying to use the same user and password you have on other systems, like authenticating with your Google account. It's like the way to go, not creating yet another password that you're going to forget and so on. Right now, what do we have? We have this guy in here, Danilo Barbato. He's a Plone developer. Most of you never heard about him because he's amazing, but he's one of the most quiet guys I ever met. He gets things done, but he does not talk. He was taking care of the Brasil.gov when we had the conference in Brasilia. He was basically the main the person managing the contract for this, and he really likes this whole concept of web standards. And even though he has a degree on game development, even though he's a Python developer, we hired him as a front end because we needed someone that cared about this. So first thing, from the text.de, we moved to Plone. And it was really a small sprint to move from Jekyll to Plone, Plone 5.1.1, plus Mosaic, plus multilingual, because we have wundertext.de, wundertext.de/en. And we have 5 new dexterity types, things like, okay, job posting and a team member and folderish to hold the team member, and the tools, because we have 10 different brands and we put them here, so each one of them has a link and so on and so forth. And teaming was done the old Diazo way because it was faster. So this is our current site, and we put it live in April, I believe, and we launched a TV campaign, and we have Varnish running on Docker. That's, I was told, is not the way to go. But even so, with this and Plone, we increased our SEO for the wundertext.de like highly and quickly. And here comes Timo. Thank you for coming. In February, or yes, I believe it was February, it was Carnival time, I met Timo and asked about opinions and how things should be done and so on and so forth. I strongly believe in headless CMS. I've done that in my 2 previous companies, always with Plone. But usually I would have an Angular application that would hinder everything. I would have a varnishing front, and I would use pre-render I/O to basically hinder server side when it's Google or other robots. That was the solution, but maybe that's not the best one. So he suggested Gatsby. I never heard of Gatsby before, and now Gatsby is everywhere. The whole point for us was, okay, why not to get everything that's static on our current brand site, like the 10 brand sites, and move to Gatsby. Still using Contentful as a source, but being built every few hours and deploying automatically without us needing to touch. That is an important approach because I really don't want to use my own developers to keep this site updated, like the layout or put something else. So the whole point in here was, this is easy, this could solve my problem. And Contentful, someone fills the content there, we generate a new build. Interface using semantic UI, so we have a bunch of components already using semantic UI, and we are kind of hosting on Amazon S3. Kind of, because as we still have some redirects we need to do because of the main application, this is running, if you go now to steuererklärung.de, you're going to land on this page. This used to be the Rails application. So if you have any link that goes to steuererklärung.de/declarations, we need to redirect. So what we do, we have a small Nginx image that basically goes get from the S3 and push forward. And ideally, we are going to use A/B testing with Google Optimize. That was another thing running on the Rails application, because why not? 2019, what do we want? Content needs to be managed. It needs to be managed in a sane way. First thing is to centralize content management on the same CMS. We have content that's replicated over like the 10 brands and the main site, so why not to use that? Reuse content when needed, and authors will have their own profile page, and ideally logging with Google, not having yet another account. I have no idea how many accounts I had to create in the past for on the text because, oh, another system, another account. And React everywhere. We are moving sites to Gatsby. The backend is going to be Plone, but our main tool is going to be React as well, and we are going to launch an application that's going to be React native. Ideally, Gatsby and Plone, Plone 5.2, Python 3, yeah! And REST API, I love REST API. Each property will be a folderish, and we see the main challenge right now is basically the Contentful to Plone migration. It's something that requires 2 or 3 days of focused work. And one point that I would love to discuss with people here is how to trigger for Plone builds to generate a new version of the static content. Because again, we are using Docker and CircleCI and so on. So it's not simply, okay, there's a new one, go and run on the same place as we always do. So anyone with experience with that, I would love to hear about. And that was it. Thank you. I would try in Japanese, but no. This presentation is already on SlideShare. And this is Oliver. Happy saying hi to you. And questions? Yes, I know. Okay, one question.
Elaborate a bit on the CI problem. I mean, what's the problem there?
The problem, the question was to elaborate on the CI problem. Imagine every time someone updates the content on Plone, I will trigger a new CI build to basically rerun the Gatsby and generate everything and push to S3, right? The point in here is Gatsby has this mechanism of caching stuff to avoid generating everything. But the data is not on the Docker image. The data would be, how do I keep the track of the cache? That is the best, the point.
So you want to keep the cache,
To avoid generating everything every time. Right now, for Contentful, to regenerate the blogs, it takes 1.5 hours.
yeah, but is that a real problem? Because I mean, it just means if it takes 1.5 hours in your CI process, right? That means that it takes 1.5 hours until you deploy a change. But in my experience, most of the time that is a real problem because you just postpone it a bit. If you can live with that, I would recommend to just like do the build in the CI process with the fact that it just takes time and then just push it, because that's the simple solution, right?
For now, that's how we are going to do it. Okay. That's perfect. One other thing is, as we are going to have the 10 brands plus the institutional site, I'm going to come up with some kind of content rule to trigger only the build for a specific area, because I put all the content together, but I have different repositories for each of these brands. Because in the end, what I want is that I hire a freelancer just to take care of one of those sites, and basically say, okay, they want now like things blinking here. It's not my problem, it's your problem. Generate the build, and I'm fine with that. So thank you guys.